Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. I'm your host, Barry Welsh. Please subscribe, like, and share, and consider supporting the program by becoming a member, 3 different membership levels. And also, remember, we're working on EAR, ending all racism. We're going to start a movement. We're going to put an organization together, and we're going to work to heal this country. And it's desperately in need of healing, but we can't heal until the wound is no longer bleeding. And as we are heading into December, we are still a very, very divided nation. Last time we talked, it was about the Trump truckers and the trucker strike. And that was supposed to have happened yesterday. If anything did happen, it was inconsequential and insignificant. They did not shut down the transportation system. They did not slow anything down. There was little or no change. A few individuals, I assume, took part, but collectively not enough to make any sort of impact or any difference. It was all talk, and that's a great thing. That is such a great thing that it was all talk. And one thing I admire about the Angry Viking was that he was not all talk. And I'm going to get to him in just a second. I want to begin with an article from Time magazine, and it's by Richard Stengel, who used to work for, he was the executive editor at Time. And the first paragraph in the article is about media using the word militia. The Detroit News says feds say they thwarted militia plot to kidnap Whitmer. Those accused in Whitmer, militia accused in Whitmer kidnapping, face life in prison. And then he goes on in the second paragraph to explain why the word militia is being wrongly used by everyone in the media except himself. He says, Mary McCord, a former Justice Department official, legal director of the Institute for Constitutional Advocacy and Protection at Georgetown University, says, quote, use of the word militia when you're talking about anything other than a state militia, like the National Guard, is just wrong. Using that term without putting the word unlawful in front of it suggests there is something constitutional or some constitutional authority or legitimacy for the existence, which there is not. And then Stenger goes on and writes, let's say it again. And now let's make sure that governors, state attorneys general, law enforcement, media pay attention. All 50 states prohibit private militias. They are illegal. Such organizations were banned starting with the Militia Act of 1903 and then amended by the National Defense Acts of 1920 and 1933. That legislation stated that all able-bodied residents available to be called forth in defense of the state were now members of the United States National Guard, which is part of the reserve components of the U.S. Army and Air Force, and they are the militia, period. Now, legally, technically, that's true, but Stenger goes on to write, so to the media, by all means, use the word militia for the National Guard, but don't use it for vigilante groups that go by the names Oath Keepers or 3%ers or the Wolverine Watchmen or any other name. Call them what they are: gangs, extremist groups, criminals, domestic terrorists. You can be sure that if these men in camouflage with guns were black or Muslim, people wouldn't be calling them militias. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. If you want to read the rest of the article, go to Time magazine and you'll be able to read the rest of the article. First of all, this media person that was that I just read from has obviously never met anyone that's in a militia, because the first thing he is not going to do is tell them they are not a militia. It's just showing a little bit of the arrogance of traditional media, corporate media, mainstream media, whatever you want to call them, of not understanding actual people. He's talking down in this article, he's talking down to me, those of us that are media. And obviously he's showing his misunderstanding for the militia and for the lack of understanding that there is a black militia, the NFAC, the Not Fucking Around Coalition. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, there are 4 national militias, militias that have a national presence. The NFAC, the Oath Keepers, the 3 Percenters, and the Constitutional Sheriffs are those 4 organizations. And it's just striking that Time Magazine is so out of touch, especially with communities of color, not only not acknowledging, but not even being aware that the NFAC, that the new Black Panther Party for self-defense, that the NFAR, that there are black groups of gun owners, and it just struck me that this article didn't have that. Now, for those of you that are new to the program, I look at this as a series, and I look at this as documenting history. For those of you that aren't new to the program, you know I've talked a lot about the NFAC and about Grandmaster Jay. This is the reason why. What I've just read is because so much of the country isn't aware of the NFAC, isn't aware that there is a black militia. So we're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep documenting it. We've been doing so since July the 4th, when the first formation happened. Now, that wasn't the first time the NFAC was active. That was Ahmaud Arbery, okay? And I've never said the first time they were active was Stone Mountain. Stone Mountain was the first formation. And that's when the public in general, well, at least a small number of the public became aware. And I've been documenting the NFAC throughout both trips to Louisville, to Lafayette, to that trip in Louisiana, the rally, the million-person march. That's what I'm trying to think of, in Washington, D.C., when that NFAC had a presence there, with Grandmaster Jay having a presence there. And I'm going to keep documenting the NFAC. And as I said in the first episode, their goal at the moment is a 1 million gun formation, 1 million people of color with guns in one place at one time, an incredibly powerful display if that can be pulled off. And as also mentioned, the NFA still growing and still gaining members from the information I gather. So that brings us to the Angry Viking part of this. And the Angry Viking is actually Dylan Stevens is his name. And I think the guy's straight up. I think the guy has said what he believes. I don't necessarily agree with everything he said, but I think he's straight up. And I think he was firmly in belief of what he was trying to do. And what he was trying to do was counter Grandmaster Jay and the NFAC. In my opinion, that was the only reason the Angry Viking and the Angry Viking group came to any prominence at all. The Angry Viking didn't like what Grandmaster Jay was saying about, give the NFAC and the communities of color a part of Texas, or, some land to call their own, where they could do their own thing and be left alone. And actually, that's not such an outlandish request. Maybe it is if you live in Texas. I know I'd gladly go somewhere other than Indiana and live and let the NFAC and the communities of color have the entire state of Indiana. I wouldn't, and I would think it was fine. I would think it was just. because of the atrocities that have happened, the oppressions, the absolute destruction of culture and community. Um, and I'm not just talking about slavery. You know, there was Black Wall Street, there was Philadelphia. There's so many things that not only we in the white community aren't taught, but aren't taught at all in schools that have impacted and stagnated the growth of uh, of Black culture. And and despite all that, we still, as I mean, I grew up listening to what was called Black music. I didn't know it was Black music. I just knew it was good music. Anyway, back to the Angry Viking. The Angry Viking had a tremendous group growing and dedicated followers. And as is often the case, people got in the way. Um, from what I've been told, there are two specific people that are under the Angry Viking that basically killed the movement. Um, Dylan wasn't aware of things that were going on. All information wasn't getting to him. I requested him to be on the show several times, and I was told he wanted to come on the show. Something happened in between there. Now, and I'm not bringing this up because I'm angry that the Angry Viking wasn't on. I'm not. He's still welcome to come on. I'd love to have him on and talk about all this. And if I got anything wrong, somebody from the show will contact me probably. Angry Viking's not on here with us on YouTube anymore. He's got his own platform, but money got in the way, and the two specific people, I'm not going to name names. One's a male and one's a female, and this is what I've been told. They got in the way, and they got greedy, and they wanted it to be about selling T-shirts and bringing money in, and going on tour and turning this into a great big enterprise, when Dylan's goal was to confront Grandmaster Jay and the Angry Viking, or Grandmaster Jay and the NFAC. So that's what I see as the downfall of the Angry Viking. These two people, they got in the way. Now, there are those that say Grandmaster Jay, he's a control freak. He's everything has to be run through Grandmaster Jay. Maybe that's the reason why, because it's an effective way of doing things in those types of organizations. Whereas you see the Angry Viking group is falling apart, if not fallen apart. Now, the big downfall, first of all, props. Okay, first of all, absolute props to Dylan, the Angry Viking, the guy. Okay, because he did what he said he was going to do. He showed up in Louisville when NFAC and Grandmaster Jay came back for the second time. That was that faithful Derby Day. He showed up. He showed up, and his supporters showed up. And the reason I give him props for it is because so many of the militias, just like the Trump truckers, they're all talk and they don't show up. I like that. I want them to be all talk. I don't want them to show up. Those of you that watch this know that for 2 weeks leading up to that day, I was telling everybody, stand down, stand down. Don't risk putting volatile people in a volatile position, in a volatile place. And Louisville still is a very volatile place. We're going to be talking about that in upcoming episodes. But back to the Angry Viking. The downfall to the Angry Viking group was Florida. They were going to go on tour. And he rose to prominence very fast. The Angry Viking did. And people wanted to see him, people wanted to meet him. But he's not a rock star. He's not a famous athlete. He's not He's not something, it wasn't time to take it on tour. And from what I'm told, they lost just somewhere between $10 and $20,000. I've heard 16, I've heard 12. So I'm just going to say somewhere between $10 and $20,000 they lost on that excursion to Lakeland, Florida. And again, those of you that have been watching the program for a long time know that I was going to go down to that event because of an NFAR presence through General Delta Django. He was the one that invited me to come down. We were going to go and hopefully have others come and have a summit and put everybody together. We talked about Grandmaster Jay possibly coming down. When I saw what was really starting to happen, about a week before, I said, I'm not going to raise any money. I'm not going to go down there. I'm not going to be part of it. And what happened was the turnout was not at all what they expected. The expenses for the event were much more than they anticipated. And again, there was a major financial loss. And anytime you're a relatively new entity, taking a unexpected hit in the 5-figure range, even the small 5-figure range, is devastating to a group. And the importance became getting that money back. And you do that through t-shirt sales and not so much about talking philosophy like we do here on this program. So to me, that's kind of what happened with the Angry Viking and the Angry Viking group. Again, I'm sure that if I've got it wrong, that somebody's going to correct me. And I'm going to give you the chance to do that tomorrow night. I'm going to be live at 10 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, special Tuesday night live, because I didn't do a Sunday night. I didn't do a weekly wrap this past yesterday, actually. I like to come on live a couple of times a week to give viewers a chance to confront me, if so be it, or if you have questions or comments, or there's something you'd like for me to cover. I like to come on live because I generally don't go down and read all the comments, as most of you know. So if I have anything wrong, I'm sure someone will come tomorrow night and let me know. And otherwise, look forward to what we've always been doing, which is talking about things people other shows don't talk about, and or talking about them before other shows talk about them. And the NFAC will be a topic moving ahead into the future. Some of you will be happy to hear that. Some of you are like, why do you keep talking about the NFAC? I keep talking about the NFAC because Time Magazine's not aware they exist. Okay. And a whole lot of people read Time Magazine. So I've still got a lot of work to do to talk about things that others aren't talking about. And I'm glad you watch, and I thank you for watching. And I ask that you share, subscribe, and like, help us grow the channel, and help us do what we're trying to do, which is talk about freedom, talk about unity, talk about equality, and especially talk about social injustice. Just something to think about. I'm Barry Welsh. This is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. However, do be a light. Be a light in a dark world. Try to find somebody to love. If you have somebody to love, hold on to them, because these are going to be darker holidays than most of us have ever experienced. And a lot of people are lonely. A lot of people are depressed. A lot of people are hurting financially. And if you're one of them, come on tomorrow night and talk to me about it if you want to. I'll be glad to talk to you. If you know somebody that's struggling, reach out to them, and don't take for granted anything you've got, including your loved ones. And if you're a person of faith, join me in constantly praying that that this nation heals and we have a peaceful transition of power, and that the incredibly brave, smart people on the front lines of our medical staffs, our assisted living facilities, and a special shout out to all of those that work in assisted living facilities. And you will never know what you mean to the families of people that are in those places, especially now that we are in this pandemic. And you're incredibly important. Each and every one of you watching this is important. I love you all. I really do. I wish you nothing but peace, prosperity, and may my God, whether it's your God, whether you have a God, may he bless it and touch and heal and nourish each and every one of you. And may he have mercy on the United States of America, because we need it. Love you all. American Doofus Show. See you tomorrow night live at 10 o'clock. Don't be a doofus.